Hey everybody, welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Chris Yi.
And I'm Wendy Yi.
And today we're here to milk some cash cows.
Oh.
Yes, these are three...
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say I'm supposed to say moo.
Moo, yes. These are three games that continue to basically be in print always and have new versions of them.
Yeah, definitely. So we have Hey, That's My Fish. This is actually just a straight up reprint right here.
We have Love Letter Birmingham. Very excited about this
Bridgerton.
one. That was close. And then Blueprints of Mad King Ludwig. So let's go ahead and get these three reviews started.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. We have Hey, That's My Fish.
That is my fish. No, that's my
I've
board
always
game.
wondered how to pronounce this. Is it Hey, That's My Fish? Or is it like Hey, That's My Fish?
Hey, that's my fish.
Let's see how
Hey,
it's played.
comma, that's my... In this edition of Hey, That's My Fish, there are these four plastic trays that are snapped together and then randomly seated with all of these tiles. Players will put their starting penguins on spots that show one fish. They will try to collect as many tiles as they can and score the number of fish shown on those tiles. So if purple were the first player, for example, they might move over here because they want to grab a 3-point fish tile. They're going to remove the tile that they were on and store that 4 points. The orange player could then go and maybe try to cut them off, so they'll come over here and collect that tile for themselves, and the yellow player is going to do this. And so the gameplay continues like this, everyone moving one tile and then collecting those tiles for the fish. At some point, though, players are going to be locked in as tiles get removed. When a penguin has no eligible places to move to left, let's say this one came over here, when this one is by itself and cannot move anywhere, it's removed from the game. It does take that fish with it, but then the purple player has one fewer penguin to work with. When all the tiles have been gotten this way, or when all players have lost all their penguins, even if there's a few tiles left, you count up whoever has the most fish, and they're the winner. My fish. Hey, that's my fish. Hey, that's my fish. I haven't figured it out yet.
Clearly, have you not? All right, so Hey, That's My Fish is an abstract game, and it is... I'm not usually an abstract person.
You are not, no.
Yeah.
You are very thematic. You're dripping with theme.
This is cute, though.
No, abstract,
it's very cute.
Yeah, abstract strategy games for sure.
Yeah, they're just not really my
typically
jam.
And they're not typically my jam either, but this one is so approachable. This is...
And penguins are like family mascot. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that automatically raises this a point.
So what I like about this game is, and I think the reason that it has continued to stay in print, this is like the 5th or 6th different printing of the game, and it's been printed by so many publishers. And I think it has really wide appeal. Very easy rule set, very simple turns, but it is just approachable, whereas other games, other abstract strategy games that are, very low overhead, very simple, they're not as welcoming as this one.
Yeah, this one, you have so many different penguins that you're working with that I feel like it's almost more tactical than it is abstract in some of that sense, because you're like, okay, well, I want this one to move here, and I want this one to move here, and I want this one to move here. Which one do I move first? Which one is everyone else going to steal those fish first? Which one do I go? So I feel like it's got a different mental load beforehand than I think of when it comes to like chess and Go and like those kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely, right.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like the heaviest hitters, but even like, simpler, like Yinch and those types of games do carry a little bit more mental load. This one you can pivot. This one you're like, oh, one of my penguins got completely surrounded and just like fell into the abyss. I still got like 2 more to work with, or 3 more depending on the player count.
Yeah, so I think it's simple and easy. I would give this a 6, I think, because it's not my type of game specifically, but I think it's super cute, and these miniatures are the best miniatures that we've ever seen in this edition.
Yeah, well, for me, this is a 7.5 because I really adore the game. It's very simple, very fun, but this from Plan B Games, this edition of it, is the best printing that it has had. The tiles are big. The penguins are super cute.
They're adorable.
Those plastic trays as part of setup make it so easy and less fiddly to even just get started. I have played the app version a lot, and one of the cute things about the app that you can't do with these trays is there are alternate setup maps you can make.
Yeah.
And so, you can do that, just not use the plastic trays. But there's plenty of replayability, I think, even just with the big, the big 4-square grid there.
So hey, that's my fish.
If you're concerned that a Bridgerton edition of Love Letter would never come out, let your fears be assuaged. here it is. I was very excited when this came through the office.
Were you really?
No. But it's not bad that this exists, in fact. I mean, you like the show. I think the show has a lot of appeal.
I think it does. I think that it's hot right now, and so why not make a love letter game? Let me show you a little bit what some of the changes are that happened in this edition. Bridgerton Love Letter has 2 different modes that you can play. So you can do the actual basic love letter, and then you can add in the Bridgerton module that's included. It adds a few extra cards from the base set as well as these 5 additional cards. So let's talk about basic love letter first. On a turn, players are going to have 1 card in hand. They will then draw a card. They will choose one of the 2 cards to play. These happen to be the exact same one. And then they'll do whatever it says at the bottom. And ultimately, it's the last person standing, so the last person that remains in the game will get the diamond. Now, for the Bridgerton expansion stuff, we have a few different things. So Anthony Bridgerton over here, he just allows you to draw extra cards and tuck some cards under the deck. The Queen Charlotte will bump out the lowest played card except for the 0. So there's a special 0 card that I haven't told you about yet. But she's going to bump out. So starting with 1, and she counts up slowly until someone finally reveals the cards and said, yes, I'm the lowest. And then they are out. Finally, there's Daphne, who is the 0. She is the diamond of the season. And she, actually, if you are the one who is the winner, essentially, if you're the one who's still in the game at the end of the round, if you're the only one who's played a Daphne, then you get 1 extra diamond. If someone else has played it, you don't get an extra diamond. You still get the diamond for winning. So there you go. That's the basics of Bridgerton Love Letter. So this is an interesting decision for them to make a reprint of this because there is actually a little bit of mystery in the show. So you have this writer that nobody knows who she is. She's kind of this gossip secret writer.
She's spreading the hot goss.
Right. And
I don't mean Ryan Gosling.
Everyone's trying to figure out who she is. And spoilers, if you play this game, it will spoil it, I guess.
I mean,
who the secret is? I don't know. You find out in the first season at the end.
I'll just put it this way. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't make that connection based on like the character powers and stuff. I'm guessing if you've watched the show, you're like, these character powers are, are thematic, even though they are, for the most part, just the original abilities from the basic Love Letter game.
They are. And the ones that I showed you that are the additional abilities, I think they're a nice little addition. Like they don't make it a heavier game. They don't make it so much more. Like sometimes I feel like some of the other Love Letters are like, oh, this is kind of Love Letter, but I have to relearn everything. This doesn't have that same level.
No, this feels more classic. They made the Star Wars one where there's like 2 different teams of cards, and they made the Infinity Gauntlet Marvel one that was like a 1 versus all. This is more true to the basic one, to the point where I really love, and I adore the original Love Letter. I really love that they put the little indicators on the top of each card to say, pull these ones out if you want to play just the basic edition. And I think that if you're going to play 2, 3, or 4 players, it's that 16-card original lineup is just better. I think that the extra cards might work better for the 5 and 6 players, because this one goes to 2 more players than the basic Love Letter.
Okay. Whereas I think that throwing in this basic stuff in the lower player count is just fine.
Throwing in the extra new characters and whatnot.
Yeah. I think you're less likely maybe to hit both those Daphnes. But then you also have to stay in. So I always wonder, at a 5-player game, how much that's ever going to happen that someone's going to get a Daphne benefit.
Right. So. And this game in general is kind of more chaotic the more players, which is why in previous editions I hated my 7-player game of Love Letter the one time I tried it. Oh
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Didn't like it, but
I think it's ideal at like 2 to 4.
Right, 3 and 4 I think are the best. But for the fact that this is going to appeal to, I think, a lot of people who haven't jumped into hobby gaming before. This might be the first edition of Love Letter a lot of people buy. I'm glad it has the classic rules. I think that the new stuff added in fits in nicely and isn't overwhelming, like you said.
I think it's very elegant, and it fits along a little bit more that basic feel of regular Love Letter. Like thematically, there's obviously no princesses that's, trying to be wooed by a soldier kind of thing. Or
now you got Queen Charlotte instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Charlotte card is so cool.
I like it's Jabba the Hutt from Star Wars Love Letter. So they borrowed these other things.
They did. But I think it's so cool because thematically it fits in. I love it.
You mentioned because it skips the 0 card, starts with the 1, things like that. Eliminate starting from the lowest up.
I think if you like that show, you'll be really pleased with the little nods that they give to it.
And if you don't like the show like me,
it doesn't matter.
I've watched it in the background. I'd be like, oh, they're playing a string quartet version of Baby Got Back. In this episode, bum 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 bum. Sir Mix-a-Lot, he was knighted by Queen Charlotte.
Was he?
What would you give this one, score-wise?
I'm going to give this a 7. I don't think it's the greatest love letter out there. Batman definitely takes the cake for that. I love the Batman love letter. But this is great, and I think it's fun.
I'm also giving this one a 7. I rate the original love letter a little bit higher. The biggest thing for me is the production. The cards look a little bland. They look elegant and Regency-like, but the text is too small. And they look a little bit flat for my taste because stills from the show. So I mean, but it's the biggest thing is honestly the text is too small, and it's
I agree the text is too small. I'm happy with the look of the cards, and I'm happy with the stills from the show, so that doesn't bother me. I feel like they're not too they look weird.
Right, yeah. But
I agree the text could be better.
7 seals of approval for Bridgerton love letter.
All right, so we have a blueprint of Mad King Ludwig, and this is not a roll and write version, but it looks like a roll and write version, but it's in a whole big box.
It's like roll and write adjacent. It's a full game.
Yeah.
It is. Well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and, before we say too much, explain how the game plays, and then we'll give you our thoughts.
This is blueprints of Mad King Ludwig. Now, these pens do not come in the game. It's actually normal colored pencils, but the paper itself is really hard to see when you use colored pencils. They work okay, but honestly, buy these pens if you're really invested in getting this game. The actual gameplay is on a turn, players are going to be drafting cards, and then they're going to be adding them to their castle. As you can see the card through underneath, so it allows you to trace and draw on this little see-through paper that's over here. Now, all of the different buildings, when they're closed off, do something different and something special. For example, if you close off a yellow rune, you get an extra turn that exact same round. So if multiple cards have been drafted, you get to pick from what is left, and you get to build an extra room. Extra rooms are great. Now, there's a variety of ways to score points. Every room that you fill up is worth different points. Every room you place on the game on your board is worth points itself. There's also these cool swans that allow you to build moats. Those moats are worth points. At the end of the game, there's these area majorities up here. So the total amount of courtyards, size-wise, the amount of squares within courtyards, the total amount of purple rooms in courtyard, the total amount of purple rooms size-wise. Just a variety of these things. These change. Also, every game, you'll draft and you'll actually choose some of these Royal Decree cards, and these are going to be either player powers or endgame scoring. And then when you finish orange rooms, you can actually get more endgame scoring cards that you can place out. You start with a couple of these to choose from, and every time you complete an orange room, you draw more and get more choices there. So yeah, like I said, a variety of different ways to get points, but you're drawing those polyominoes, you're trying to connect rooms, and you're trying to fit it all into this lovely castle that you're building.
One of the biggest difference with this and the base game, or the regular Mad King Ludwig, is that this doesn't have that auction element at the beginning, which I appreciate because I don't love auctions.
My favorite part of Castles of Mad King Ludwig is that price setting thing. So
yeah.
this just turns
into not really an auction, but yeah.
Right, but it's a price. But this is just going to simplify it into kind of a card draft, which I think has its strengths, but I think that also has some of its downsides where the game is not going to feel as robust. It feels like this is a little bit more of a simplification. You get rid of a few of the steps. But then I think I hate drawing. I hate tracing the cards.
I think that's what we learned from this, is that you don't like that. I think it's great. I think it's so clever that they got a see-through paper that you can still draw on, but you can trace underneath it. I think that that's really useful.
When I first thought it was just draw it, I didn't realize that it was like a tracing thing. I would have given this game like a 3.
Yeah, you can hold it up. You can see if it fits in your castle, because I have a pretty good eye for those things, and there's still a couple of those moments where I was like, how many squares over is this?
Yeah.
And how does it fit? Because there's a lot of diagonals and round stuff. So, but I enjoy drawing in games, and I think that that's a clever, fun part of it. So that, I think, automatically will make our scores different.
Yes, I don't mind drawing in games. I hate precision drawing. Like, you really are. It gives you that feel of, like, sketching in blueprints, and I get that. But I can't shake the feeling that the original game exists with tiles that you can just place out. And so this one, for me, is so much more inconvenient.
Whereas I think it's more convenient because I don't have to sort tiles. And
Yes.
I don't have to pull out tiles. So this, there's a few decks of cards, and that's it.
Right. So, as Wendy's, you're going to see a difference stemming from that. But I do have a few other complaints about the game, aside from the fact that I have to sketch things.
Complain away.
I think that this game, the scoring is pretty wild on it. Like, our last game ended with over 300 points.
Those orange cards, especially the I don't remember what they call them.
bonus cards.
The bonus cards, yeah, the end game scoring bonus cards you can get throughout the game. I had one that was worth 48 points and another one that was worth like 3. It's just so different, the fact that some have a clear maximum, like there's no way to get more than a certain amount of points, and other ones are like, the sky's the limit.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, some of the like reasonably are going to be 15 points, and other ones are reasonably going to be
just ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that the scoring is swingy. There's a lot of scoring. There's a lot of bonuses, and because of the nature of sketching in this game, there are a lot of bonuses that deal with like moving things, erasing things, adding stuff in that create these extra finicky rules and exceptions to those rules that I don't think existed in the original game. And so I know that I'm coming from a place of didn't love the drawing aspect, and I have a lot of affinity for the original game. But I think that those complaints would exist even without those two factors. Like, there's a lot of just kind of weird timing questions, and the rulebook's not great.
I think the rulebook is not great. I actually think it's clever the way that they figured out how to be able to move doors and those kind of things, because they specifically have the way to draw them so that you know that it is a moved door versus a added secret door. Right. I mean, secret passage. Like, I think that it's clever the way that they did it.
Or eliminated door, those things, yeah.
But I do agree the rulebook, it needs some wording help for sure. There's definitely things in there that it left us with questions that we were like, okay, how does the secret passage actually work?
And then we had to flip through, find a different area. Yeah, so the play rate is almost great in it. It's good for the most part, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that it's got some good parts. There's a couple timing things, like you had mentioned, how like some actions when you complete a room, you have to do that immediately. But then if everybody does that hypothetically, some people don't actually get to take that action. So there's a little bit of weird stuff with that.
Yes.
Okay, but on good notes, because I have good things to say about this, I enjoy, one, that there's not that closed price setting thing, because I'm terrible at setting prices. I enjoy the drawing aspect of it because I find that to be very zen and enjoyable. I also think that for me, the organizing the cards and getting it set up and going is quicker. And I enjoy this Mad King Ludwig aspect of the game. Like, I enjoy that polyomino stuff, and I feel like I get that all here that I got from the original game.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just more work to get a similar type of feel. And I don't think the polyominoes are as fun in this game as they are in the original. So, I'm like I said, I'm not trying to compare it directly to the original 100%, but I can't not. This is the 4th game in the market of Mad King Ludwig in its name.
Right.
It's going to draw those comparisons. I have a comparable good that I can go to and play instead of this.
Yeah.
So score-wise, shockingly, I'm going to come in lower. I'm giving this one... I struggle between a 5 and a 6. I'm going to go ahead and give a 5.5, the easy way out, and say I don't want to come back to this game. But I don't think it's a bad game. I know it's just a bad fit for me, for what I want out of it. And I know that there's just another game around the corner that I can play that one instead, and that one's been around for like, a decade. Yeah. And it's a tried and true great game. This one feels like it's trying to be a simplified game. Oh, the rooms don't have special abilities, and instead, and there's no auction price setting thing. It's just a card draft. It's like simplified in some ways and then more convoluted in other ways. And I don't like the sacrifices made here and the extra things thrown in. So it's a 5.5 for me.
Whereas, I'm happy with the things that are thrown in. I think that the actual gameplay of it is very clean for me. Once you get past the rule book and all that struggles, and once you get those new pens, because they're totally worth it. Just buy teacher pens. They're great for every roll and write game ever.
Papermate?
Yeah. But I enjoyed this. I love the drawing of the polyominoes. I really like how you can see underneath the paper how you fit it in, and I'm not going to accidentally bump tiles and mess up stuff. So I think there's some really good aspects to this. I enjoy the way that the cards, when you draw them, they're worth points, but then they can be worth more points as you fill them in and complete the rooms. And I like the way the board expands. Like, there's some really cool stuff that goes on in here. So I'm going to give this a 7. I do think it has its flaws, especially the points. Like, you have to go in knowing that it could just be super lucky and swingy. But I find that the actual drawing aspect of it is enough fun that I'm okay with that. So.
Yeah, but the color pencils don't show up great on the paper that's included with, and that once again, it puts me in a different, more annoyed place.
Yeah, but I'm good with outlining, and so if you look at my pencil paper versus...
They look way better than mine, yes. Yeah. So
it's a little easier to see, yeah.
Like I said, I think that'll affect your opinion of this game as well.
I think it will. So there you go. That's the blueprints of Mad King Ludwig.
There you go. And that's our 3 reviews for this episode. Hope you enjoyed that one, found it useful. Maybe you'll go pick up one of these or more. Let us know if you do. Until next time, I'm Chris Yi.
I'm Wendy Yi.
Have fun Bridgertoning.
Have you ever actually seen how blueprints are made? Like, do you know why they're blue? It's fascinating.
It's because Smurf paper.
No, so there's like this light photosensitive paint. I used it when I worked in an art studio, but there's this paint that you paint down and then you put stuff on it and it only exposes the elements that are painted, that are showing to the light. So you put it in the sun and it turns blue. So blueprints, you can make copies of them on clear paper, and then you get the blueprint. Are you bored?
Huh? No. This is riveting. So yeah, so you smush down the Smurfs, and in the sun they dry into building shapes.